Are you a dropshipper and you're wondering why US Epacket recently has become so expensive or sellers aren't even offering it? You might think it's because of COVID, and it's some of it, but it's really not just because of COVID. Hey everyone, this is Dayu from EcommOps. Today I want to make a short video and talk about why Epacket for dropshipping, particularly for the US, is never going to be really exactly the same again. And again, it's not because of COVID. Now, to talk about this topic and Epacket in general, it's important to understand the history of Epacket. So way back in the 1800s, there was something called the Universal Postal Union. It was enacted between most of the countries in the world, and basically it was a system that governed international postal rates for mail and small packages between countries, so that each country doesn't have to individually set their own prices with each other country, which would have been a huge mess to actually enact. Now, one feature of this was that during that time, what were considered third world or developing countries had very favorable rates sending to other countries, and China was one of them. Obviously, today, China is not a third world country, but it does create a little bit of an unfair situation because some countries, like the US and some EU countries, they actually lose money on every single package that they receive. And therefore, the system gave birth to Epacket, and particularly when you're sending stuff from China, what it did is that it provided an option that had relatively reliable shipping, pretty cheap, or very cheap rather. Actually, many times they're actually cheaper to ship from China to the US and between a lot of US states, especially ones that were farther away. And it was soon adopted by more than 35 countries, and it kind of had decent tracking. I mean, I'm sure if you have experience with dropshipping, you've used it before. So this really gave birth to dropshipping, Aliexpress dropshipping, as we know it a few years back, because although it was originally made for mail, a lot of sellers started using this for packages and consumer goods as well. Now, what happened last year was that this is related to the US and China trade wars, was that the US went on a mission to get a lot more favorable rates because, I mean, to be completely honest, it was a little bit unfair. The rates were still very, very favorable for China, and the US and quite a few countries were actually losing money on every single Epacket delivery. So the US went to the UPU and they asked for self-declared rates in order to curb this financial loss. Now, at the time, which was back later last year, this was a really, really big deal because in the worst case scenario, what could have happened was that, well, actually first, the self-declared rates could have been very, very high and no one knew exactly how high it would be. But the worst case was that the US could actually withdraw from the UPU, which would have really been disastrous because it would have meant that costs would have increased significantly, and honestly, all the shipping would have been completely disrupted because without the UPU, there was no mechanism for agreeing to these rates. So every single country, with the US especially, would have to renegotiate these rates, and with the US out of the UPU, it was very, very possible that other countries would leave it as well. Now, so after a lot of discussions, the good news was that there was a compromise. The worst case scenario was not met. The US stays in the UPU. The US still could self-declare rates in July of 2020, so last month to right now it's August, but there was actually a cap of how much that raise could be. Now, without this cap, experts were worried that these rates could actually go up by 2x, 5x, or even 10x in the extreme. So I'd say that this is actually a very good compromise. And of course, the UPU stays, so there's no major disruptions. There was also an agreement that other countries could also potentially set their own rates in 2021, so there's some uncertainty exactly what that means. However, because of this rate increase, even though there was a cap, it meant that the rates for Epacket increased by $1.50 per package to the US in July. Now, that's per package, so that's actually quite a lot, especially if you are selling a somewhat lighter product. This is not a weight-based rate. This is actually a $1.50 flat increase. So obviously this affects sellers who sell lighter products, which is going to be a lot of dropshippers out there. Relatively speaking, it affects heavier products less, but still $1.50 on every single package is still quite a big deal, regardless of how heavy your package is. And other countries may eventually follow suit as well. And honestly speaking, if you're in the e-commerce business, you know that every dollar, every 10 cents matters. So especially for the US, Epacket is no longer going to be a competitive option in the future. Currently, right now, Epacket prices to the US are actually even more expensive than a lot of the way better special lines like Yunexpress, for example, and they're better. So, generally speaking, for the US at least, Epacket is just not really going to be a competitive option. Again, in 2021, we also expect more and more countries to follow suit, but we don't know how much that's going to be. So, I see this question a lot. No matter what happens, is drop shipping dead because of this? The answer is pretty simple. Dropshipping is definitely not dead. China fulfillment is definitely not dead. Like I said earlier, special lines still work very well, and they're better too. So the reason why special lines haven't been affected by this is because they bypass the UPU agreement system completely. They use their own freight system. They book their own freight flights. They send their packages to the US or wherever it might be, and then they manage a customs process. So it's completely separate from this UPU system. So does not affect them at all. And generally speaking, they are just much better services for many reasons. If you guys want to learn more, actually, I'm going to link below to a video why a special line like Yunexpress is a much better alternative to Epacket, even without the price increases for Epacket. And just generally speaking, EcommOps is a China fulfillment service, and we haven't been using Epacket for the last year because we think it sucks. And our clients all use special lines, and regardless of the price increases, they've seen much more success using these special lines versus using the standard Epacket from before. And now let's talk about COVID a little bit. So if you think about the impact of what this UPU change was compared to the impact of COVID in general, this thing is such a smaller deal than all of the price impacts and delays during COVID. During COVID, the prices increased at a much fewer percent than this relatively small percent for Epacket. Again, it depends on weights. There were also production delays. There were also logistics disruptions. There were just like a huge amount of delays all across the supply chain system. Now, we have been in business. All of our clients have been in business, and they've seen a lot of success. During COVID, they focused on lighter products. They sold higher margin products, raised their prices successfully. Some charge additional shipping fees. And I mean, look, honestly, some of our clients, their products just no longer really worked because of these increasing costs, and they moved on to something else that was lighter and higher margin, and they still saw a lot of success. And the main point here is that I want to talk to you guys about why Epacket is not a great option in the future. But the thing is, in this business, there's always ways to deal with these issues: increased prices, logistics delays, everything like that. I mean, there's ways to deal with it. So you just gotta adapt. So I want to share you guys with this news, but trust me, as long as you understand what is happening, as long as you plan for it, and you work hard on your business, our clients are huge proof that you are able to succeed even when things get really, really tough. All right, everyone, that was a really short video today because a lot of people have been asking about Epacket, and obviously part of it was because of COVID, but I really just wanted to make this short video and really help you guys understand that there is something that's fundamentally different about Epacket. And let's not even talk about all the passenger flight cancellations, all the delays. All right, well, so we are a premium fulfillment service. If you have 50 orders or more or close to that, ready to scale, do reach out to us, EcommOps.com. We specialize in working with great businesses and building them into much larger brands and helping you achieve your dreams in e-commerce. So reach out to us. And also, please, if you like this video, subscribe to our channel, like it, turn on notifications so you see more like this. We're constantly putting out new content. And finally, join our Facebook group as well, which I'll link below. That's where we have a lot more real-time discussions on operations and logistics. All right, everyone. Well, this is Dayu from EcommOps. See you guys next time.